So let's just go ahead and add on here how we name polynomials. So we name them polynomials by the degree plus number of terms. So the degree plus the number of terms. So we can add that to our pink sheet. So we have everything I think we need to know for classifying. I'm going to make my little line a little bit longer. And then like that. Okay, so that helps us with classifying. Okay, let's go back to your notes. Let's go back to this chart and we can get a better idea of how to name them. So again, look at how many, what's your degree first? Well, the highest degree is 3. Oh, wait, hold on, number of terms. So, yeah, number of terms is 2. So that's called a binomial. The highest degree is 3. So our chart tells us that it's called a cubic, and then that's the degree name, and then plus the number of terms, and it's called a binomial. So it's a cubic binomial. All right, let's look at f of x. So 1, 2, 3 terms. So we call that a trinomial. And the highest degree is 2. So we call a degree of 2 quadratic plus the number of terms, which we've already said was a trinomial. So it's a quadratic trinomial. All right, last one. Okay, so we have 3 terms again. So it's a trinomial. And we have a highest degree of 4. So we would call this a quartic trinomial. All right, so that's all about classifying. So that's what you're going to be expected to do on your quiz on Friday is you're going to have to, I'm going to give you polynomials and you're going to have to name them. And you have to say constant monomial or a linear monomial. And remember, you can use your pink sheet, so that will be a huge help when naming these. So now let's move on to adding, subtracting, and multiplying polynomials together. So when you're adding polynomials, all we're going to do is combine like terms. Combine like terms. We know how to do this. This is nothing new. This is just kind of organizing our stuff that we already know. Subtracting, remember we need to distribute the negative sign to all of the terms. See, sometimes we forget to subtract them to give that negative sign to every single one of them. And then we combine like terms. Okay, so now let's look at number 1. So this is adding. So look, with adding, we're just combining like terms. So we need to start off with 3. So this is what I would do. I would go start from left to right. I'd look at x to the third. Do we see another degree of 3? I see one right here. You know what, actually the best way, let's start with looking at the highest to the lowest term. So we can also just write this in standard form as we go. Okay, so my highest degree I see is a 5, a degree of 5. Well, I don't see anything that I can add to this, so I'm just going to say 12y to the 5th. Now, go see if you have a 4th degree. I don't see a 4th degree. So you could even cross these out once you do them if it's better to visualize that so that you don't miss anything or forget to do it. Okay, so now let's look at the third. So we have 4y to the third, and we're adding it to a negative 2y to the third. So what's 4 minus 2? We're going to get a 2y to the third. Okay, we're going to cross those out because we did them. Okay, so now you're thinking, okay, so degree of 2. So hopefully you see this and this one. So then I'm going to say a negative 5 squared plus a 14y squared. So you're really saying a negative 5 plus a 14 is going to give me a positive 9y squared. And I can cross those out, and I've done all of them, and they're already in standard form, so I'm done. Okay, if anybody has any questions, go ahead and pause and see if your classmates can help you with answering any of these questions. All right, let's look at number 2. All right, so here, don't forget, this is going to be a subtraction problem. So it says we have to distribute that negative to each term over on our right side. So I'm going to rewrite this because I have a 3y to the 5th plus 8y to the 3rd minus 10y squared. Okay, now we're going to say a negative times a negative 12y to the 5th is going to give me a positive 12y to the 5th. Remember, negative signs just change the sign. So then you have a negative times 4y to the 3rd. That's going to give us a negative 4y to the 3rd. And then you have a negative times a 14y squared, which would give us a negative 14y squared. All right, now we're combining like terms. So look for your highest degree. I see our highest degree is a a degree of 5. So let's add these together. Well, we would get 15y to the 5th. I'll go ahead and highlight that so you can know that those go together. Cross them out, move on. Okay, so now you go down to the 4th. Well, I don't see a degree of 4 anywhere. So now let's move to degree of 3. So we have 8y cubed minus 4y cubed is going to give us a positive 4y cubed. Cross them out, move on. Okay, so now we go down to the squared, degree of 2. So I see a negative 10y squared minus a 14y squared, and that's going to give us a negative 24y squared. And we cross them out and move on. Okay, but there's nothing to move on to, so we're done. So our answer is 15y to the 5th plus 4y cubed minus 24y squared. Okay, so pause right here, and I want you guys to try 3 and 4 on your own. So I'm just going to do them right here, but I would love for you to pause right here and then see if you guys can get them right.